Hi, my best story ever starts when I was in grade 7, like you guys. When I was in grade 7, like a lot of other grade 7 boys, I was very concerned with my image and what other people thought about me. And just like a lot of people, I wanted to be thought of as cool. And in my time, one of the ways you could be the coolest guy in the world was to be a skateboarder. There were a few guys in school that knew how to skate, and you would see them doing their tricks outside, and that was pretty much the pinnacle. If you were a skateboarder, every dude thought you were the man, and every girl thought, oh. So I wanted to be like one of those guys. And so what I did was, like a lot of bratty kids, I begged my mom to buy me a skateboard. I begged her until the point where she couldn't stand to hear me anymore, that she had to get her purse and take me to the store. And that's what happened. We went to the skateboard shop. I was enamored by this place because it was a really cool, funky place. Everyone in that store had cool haircuts and amazing clothes and just looked like celebrities of middle school. And so I got there and I realized, oh, how do you choose a skateboard? I didn't know much about skateboards, so I decided, logically, choose it based on how it looks. So back then, the skateboards were known to be painted. These days, they don't tend to be, but back in my day, they used to be painted by artists, and they used to be branded based on a skateboarder, a famous skateboarder. So Tony Hawk, for example, was a famous skateboarder, and many kids had a Tony Hawk skateboard. I went with what was called an Eric Nash skateboard. He was a famous skateboarder as well. Just because I liked the design, it was this cool cowboy dude with guns like this. And it was also my favorite color, blue. So I took this beautiful, ridiculously expensive skateboard home, this beautiful electric blue skateboard, and I walked around with it in pride. Walked around under my arm, walked down the street, you know, like someone showing off a pair of shoes or something. There was only one problem.
You didn't know how to skateboard?
I didn't know how to skateboard. So somehow this slipped my mind. I did not know that you needed to skateboard to have a skateboard. So the first thing I did was I got on the skateboard and I started pushing it. Immediately when I got on, I realized, whoa, this is not what I thought it was going to look like. Because I always saw guys skateboarding and they would always just jump on, look so relaxed, and just go down streets, weave through cars, and I figured that that's just the way it worked. But I got on, and just standing on it was hard. I couldn't even stand on it without falling off, let alone push it. First few times I pushed it, it just didn't feel right. It felt like I was on the cliff of a mountain and I was going to fall off and die, just on a skateboard. So I was very worried about this. So it took me a little while. Immediately I was scared. So all I did was walk around with it. Sometimes I go to the store with it under my arm. And even at that time, I didn't know that it was probably obvious, because there's this kid who's carrying around a shiny skateboard. And skateboards aren't supposed to be shiny. They're supposed to look rough and banged up and almost like they're about to break down if you're a true skateboarder, because that's what you do. You skateboard with it and you grind it up. Eventually it came to the day where I realized, okay, this is ridiculous. I can't walk around like this pretending that I'm a skateboarder. I gotta learn. So that's what I did. I got on the skateboard one day and I was riding down my street and I was skateboarding down and I was very cautious, so I jumped off as soon as I felt like I was gonna fall. But I just kept trying that day. Trying. And then I finally got to this one part where there was a big steep hill downwards. And I was so unintelligent that I actually thought this was a good idea. I thought, well, since I can't skateboard, if I go on a downhill, that means I don't have to work hard and do this. I can just go. So I got up the top of the hill, and when I got up there, you know, back in my mind I thought, well, this is maybe not a good idea, because I kind of felt like you do when you're on top of a roller coaster. But I thought, let's just do it. So I pushed slightly, and then immediately going down this big long hill, and I was terrified inside. But then after a while I was going down there, I thought, hey, wait a minute, I'm still on. I'm still on, which means I'm a skateboarder. And it was all good. Time just stood still. I was happier than I've ever been in my life until I just heard this sound, and it must have been like a tiny rock or something. Any of you who've ever rollerbladed or skateboarded know a tiniest rock can ruin your life. And so I must have hit that, because the next thing I knew, everything went in slow motion. My skateboard was suddenly way back there, and I was in the air going in slow motion. Ooh. And still kind of going downhill.
Uh-oh.
Slow motion, slow motion, slow motion, until my whole body, my whole face just
Ow.
ground onto the asphalt. And I didn't really even feel anything because it was such a shock impact, but I got up and I noticed pretty much from toe all the way to my head, I was ripped in shreds.
Ew.
Like Wolverine had just like carved me up
No.
because he was angry with me. Even my shoes were ripped. And I just looked inside and I was, oh my gosh, my legs were all red from blood. I touched my face and oh, blood on my hands from touching my face.
Ew. Ow.
And so that's the day that I learned that you shouldn't try and be something that you're not. And that's my best story ever.